camera there, I got a camera here. Doing two cameras at once, right? So, welcome. Welcome to Millennial Nation Worldwide. I am the OG Millennial. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Millennial Nation Worldwide or at O_G_Millennial. And if you can, just go over, click like, subscribe, get some cool content that's going to be coming your way through the eyes of this millennial, right? Just real quick to start off, man, I wanted to talk about some GPS news, right? Like, I've been noticing every time I use my GPS for my Android phone. Yeah, I'm an Android guy. You can talk trash if you want, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to save some money. Anyways, I noticed some of the directions that the computer is giving me, the voice computer is giving me is weird wording. For example, if it wants me to get into the right-hand lane, it tells me to slide into the right-hand lane, right? So I don't know if you are aware of this or not, but if you slide in a car, you're probably going to crash into something. So I don't understand why when the GPS is saying to get into the next lane, it's telling you to slide to the next lane, right? Another thing that I really can't stand, I noticed is if you go to make a left or right-hand turn and it's got two lanes, it tells you to use the two lanes to make that left or right-hand turn. And I see people sometimes using two lanes to make a left-hand turn. And now I understand why. It's because they're listening to their computer tell them, make this left using these two lanes, right? You're supposed to use one lane or the other, right? So this GPS, man, it's frustrating sometimes trying to listen to this damn AI computer. But that's just a small little minor thing, one of those daily things, man, like traffic, dealing with this damn 405 traffic. Ended up spending 45 minutes just trying to go 2 miles. Blows my mind sometimes. There wasn't even an accident, man. Wasn't even an accident. But if you're on the 405 freeway in Los Angeles by the LAX airport, just know you are always going to catch some traffic going one direction or the other, man. Guaranteed every time. So this is the stuff you're getting on Millennial Nation Worldwide, right? We're going to do some other talking about Jim Carrey, right? A lot of people talking about Jim Carrey and at the award show that he was at, and if this guy was an imposter or not. And crazy stuff happening in the world with wars happening again, popping off again, right? Like, I'm not hearing a lot of news, but if you are looking for it, you can find all the news in the world about it, right? And so I'm not going to get too much into it, but I wanted you guys to understand where I come from politically so you guys can understand this millennial's viewpoint on politics, right? Maybe I might touch a little bit on it, but I don't know enough about it to really be a positive representation of facts, right? Like, I have to go and look up some facts and do some research, but that's going to be at the end, right? We'll save that hard stuff for the end, and then we'll just jump into this Jim Carrey thing real quick, though, all over the place, right? All over the place. I'm seeing Jim Carrey this, Jim Carrey that, right? Started off a couple days ago. I got a little message from my lovely lady Lauren, and she informed me about this imposter person who was being Jim Carrey, right? So I'm like, oh crap, I love Jim Carrey. Let me check this out, see what's going on. Got on the internet, saw some pictures of him, and he looked weird, but the original pictures that I saw of him at the award show that he was at didn't look as bad as some of the other pictures that I had seen on the internet, right? And now that it's been a few days later, more and more information and news is coming out, more and more stuff is getting revealed, and I'm sticking with what I thought when I originally saw it. I think that really is Jim Carrey. There were certain mannerisms that he had when he was receiving the award over there in France that was just on point with what he normally does, right? And then later on, I heard that there was some altering with the filters or something, right, on the camera. So it's really hard to tell what's what when you have people doing edits on videos and whatnot. You're not going to find too many edits on this. I'm running this live. Even though I'm not live because they won't let me go live yet. The only edits I'm doing is to add pictures into this shit. Everything else is live and uncut, right? Unless I'm cutting it into a short, right? But I'm not taking anything out of the show. But anyways, so yeah, I'm thinking that it's really him, right? Some of the pictures I've seen on the internet, though, I could see how it can be mistaken as an imposter, right? Especially when you have a guy in a Alexis Stone, I think is his name, a makeup artist who's taking credit, right? He's taking credit for this, saying, I'm the one who made the mask. Look, I'm here right now, and this and that. So I find that very interesting, you know, to see someone so quickly trying to jump in and say, hey, you know, that was me, you know, like, what was that? Is that just publicity or something? I'm not sure, but I don't think it was this guy in a mask. You know, I think that was really Jim Carrey. I think he's got a lot of surgery that's happened to him. More often than not, when I've seen him with a beard most recently, right? So he's had that big long beard. You wouldn't even really be able to see any of the surgeries that he might have had past like here. So, you know, I'm not sure what he looked like before he chopped off all that hair off his face, you know, and after doing some research, you know, I listened to a couple people, and they, you know, like it started with Jamal, aka Jamal, right? Because he always got some good stuff out there. But he posted a clip of Dr. Yoon, Youn, right? And it's at Dr. Doctor Youn, right? Youn, and he's a plastic surgeon, and he was giving his opinion on the amount of surgeries that Jim Carrey might have had based off the pictures that he was reviewing. And it was cool to see someone who was like a professional give their opinion and insight, because it's not just like a random person. This guy's got, I'm not sure how many years, but he's got time in his industry, right? I checked out his page, and he's got all these different videos of all different plastic surgeons and whatnot. You know, go check him out. It's a very interesting page if you're into that, like celebrity nip tuck lifestyle or whatever. But again, like, I think that it was really, Jim Carrey. When I saw originally on Jamal, aka Jamal, he was talking about how it could have been an imposter. But again, when he had the plastic surgeon come on there and give his opinion, I was like, all right, I'm gonna listen to this right there. So, yeah, I think that it was really him. The plastic surgeon thinks that it's really him, and I mean, if you got a doctor, a plastic surgeon, you know, saying, confirming something, I'm sure that's probably legit. There'd be no reason why this Dr. Yoon would be wanting to, you know, I mean, I'm sure he's going to get some extra eyes. He's got my attention. I subscribe to his page, but I mean, ultimately, there's nothing to gain by going out there and just promoting, making up a lie, right? But a makeup artist, I believe, would lie to try and gain publicity and be like, hey, y'all, that was me, right? I don't know. That just seems to be more likely, in my opinion, right? Alexis Stone, makeup artist, though, he says he did it. Show the proof, man. Somebody's got a video out there, right? Hopefully they got a video out there. But whether they do or they don't, I saw all the evidence I needed just by watching his clips and cuts from receiving the award. You know, the voice was there. It just looks like, yeah, he's got a lot of work that he had done to him. You know, and I don't know, these cheeks, right? Like, to keep them permanent like that, I don't know, man, how much you're paying for that stuff. But according to Dr. Yoon, he thinks he's had at least a minimum of 6 to 8 facial surgeries, right? And that's like fat in the cheeks. He thinks he had the rhinoplasty on the nose, like his eyebrow pull, and then like other, I don't know. It was interesting to hear his thoughts on it. You should check it out. But on to a little bit more serious stuff, right? Like, this is going to be a shorter video. I just wanted to talk about this war that's happening over there with Iran and Israel and USA and all that stuff. And to be honest, it's not on the radar too much. You know, I'm not hearing emergency alerts or anything like that on the phone. All I'm getting is whatever I happen to stumble across on the internet, right? I spent times on both sides of the aisle. You know, I was a Democrat growing up pretty much my whole life. You know, I had that Democratic mentality and everything that came along with it until like my later 20s. Once I got into my later 20s, I started understanding the working aspects of like working in America and capitalism and having that opportunity to achieve whatever you are worth, you know, going out there and making your own money pretty much, right? Make your own shit. I subscribe to that philosophy, right? And that's not necessarily a philosophy that the Democratic Party has anymore. So it's harder to relate to them because they kind of seem to be more dependent on like government help and programs. And I'm all about going out there and getting it. You know, I got to get it for myself, man. I can't get a handout from the government. That's just not me. But Ultimately, I try and be, the double recording, this phone just cut off, but ultimately, I try and walk a straight line, right? Like, I try and be honest and open with my thoughts without offending anybody, because a lot of people are very, very sensitive, right? Like, so easily can they be offended. Even myself, I get offended, right? Sometimes it doesn't take much to offend me, especially in the political field, right? But it's a matter of how you react, right? I'm able to hear some opinions that I could listen to and be like, oh man, I do not agree with this at all. And then I'm able to just compartmentalize it in my mind and think about it in my brain, right? Not so much causing major interaction, right? Now, sometimes if it's a serious topic that I am more familiar with, like I know some stuff about, like I'll probably speak more fact to any than emotion, like I'll try and prove shit by stuff that I've seen or heard and whatnot. And that's how I like to do my research. When it comes to political viewpoints and stuff, who's right, who's wrong, there's definitely sides, and you can see the sides. One side is for this war. They're saying it needs to get done. The other side is saying, no, we shouldn't be over there messing with people, and then there's a whole slew, right, of people in the middle that are like, man, I'm not even over there. How's this really affecting me, But the empathy we got to have is real, right? Like, got to have that empathy for people. And I think that is one of those things that should be bringing the country together, right? Like, no matter what side of the aisle that you're on, right now we should be coming together and uniting and figuring out what's best for America, Right now it's probably other higher powers that are planning stuff out. I've been listening to people like Piers Morgan and the huge panel that he has on his show. And it's just these folks from all different backgrounds going at it with their opinions and their thoughts on stuff. And sometimes it's a headache, but you're able to hear stuff. You're able to hear opinions and thoughts from people who are actually there, right? So I've heard a lot of stuff, and I'm still in the same place. Like, it's not my business. It's not my place to make a judgment decision and say, hey, we need to go over there and do this, right? Like, and I hate to be the one to say this, but really legit, if the Persians and Iranians wanted to do something to America and Americans, there are more than enough Persian Iranians here already that they can be doing something, but they're not. And the ones that I run across in my daily life seem to be peaceful and are keeping to themselves, right? So that's what I see, in the world, right? I don't see extremism from a group of people that's already here, have solid communities within just parts of Los Angeles. I can imagine what it's like in other states, but they're not out here causing trouble. They ain't gangbanging. They ain't up here robbing folks, shooting cats like other gangs are doing. Some gangs are more worse than some of these people. But anyways, I don't know what it's like to be over there. So it's hard for me to give an opinion because I've never been to Iran or in the Middle East, so how can I really be sure what's going on over there other than the opinions of people who I hear, right? And so I try and hear the people themselves. I'm not listening to these news anchors anymore and the big Fox bigwigs and the CNN bigwigs and all that. Like, I've found 3 or 4 solid people on the internet, right? Devory Dawkins is another one, who aren't all on one side. They're not all on the other side. They're just trying to view this stuff from like a common sense realm, right? Like, trying to understand why we're doing the things we're doing and then the consequences of what could happen based off of decisions that are made. Boom, right? Like, I've been alive for 42 years now, 42, 43. Fuck. Old enough to start forgetting where I'm at, right? I'm not 75 quite yet, but hopefully I'll make it that far and I'll have just that much more knowledge. But I can tell you that I've been an adult for over 20 years now, and I've been hearing the same thing for the last 20 years. It's these guys over here got nuclear weapons. We got to take them out and not let them get nuclear weapons, right? And I've never once seen them use any type of missiles or nuclear rockets in my lifetime. But we're using them, right? I think sometimes it's all about the money too, right? Like, there's a lot of money out there in play, right? Just in arsenals, right? Like, people are making money selling weapons, man. I learned about the DuPonts recently, right? The DuPont family that made their money like back in like the Civil War times making bullets, right? They made the bullets and they sold the bullets. They made an empire. And, so, you know, that's how it happens, you know. People get contracts to sell weapons and we sell weapons. We hope nobody uses them. I think the only nation to ever use a nuclear weapon in history is the United States of America. So, I don't know. I love this place, though. I definitely love America and all the freedoms that she affords me. And I want our best interests in mind. And right now, America's biggest crisis is homelessness and borders, right? Got to have borders. And homelessness, man. And the homeless crisis is still alive and active here in California. All this money that they have gotten for the homeless, if you've heard about in your local states, they ain't using it for the homeless. I'm not seeing any homeless shelters built except for the ones that are still underneath the freeways. Oh, sad stuff. But on a more positive note, when you're driving and you're talking to your GPS and your GPS tells you to slide into the right-hand lane, just tell your GPS, slide your ass into auto mode or something, right? Because you're not supposed to slide in your car, man. Right? If you slide in your car, you're maneuvering your car to do power slide, right? And that's dangerous. We don't want to cause car accidents taking 2 lanes to make a left or sliding your car to the right lane. That's the Millennial Nation, right? Millennial Nation worldwide, yeah. Check us out. Like the page. Subscribe to the channel. Let's see. I'll be back on Thursday. Today is Tuesday. I'll be back on Thursday. I'm going to do a review for Raw and Dynamite, right? We're going to compare Monday Night Raw that happened yesterday to AEW Dynamite that will be happening tomorrow. We're going to break them down into 4 categories. The I heard moment, the BS moment, right? The glorious redemption moment, and the main events, right? So break them down into those 4 parts, battle them against each other and see who wins, right? And you guys give your opinions on who you thought won, but to do that, you got to go to the page, got to like and subscribe to the page and get that content, right? And you do that by going to Millennial Nation Worldwide, at Millennial Nation Worldwide, or the other plug, you know, you can use to get to Millennial Nation Worldwide would be OG_millennial, right? O_G_millennial. Boom. Yeah. Millennial Nation Worldwide. Like and subscribe. Peace.